Florida's condo market is an absolute disaster right now. Condo prices are in a free fall due to skyrocketing insurance costs, outrageous special assessments, higher inventory, and even the federal government blacklisting some of these condos for loans. Imagine spending your life savings on a dream retirement condo only to watch its value plummet while your monthly costs double. That's exactly what's happening to thousands of Florida condo owners right now. In this video, I'm going to show you why Florida's condo market is in a crisis, what factors are causing owners to desperately sell, and most importantly, how to protect yourself if you own or are thinking about buying a condo in Florida. After watching this, you'll understand the hidden risks in today's condo market and know exactly what to look for before signing any paperwork. You'll also know how to look for opportunities and take advantage of them. My name is Bishoy Habib, and I'm the realest real estate attorney you know. Over the past 13 years, I've closed over 1,000 transactions totaling $12 billion. I've seen countless buyers rush into Florida condo purchases without understanding the financial time bombs that might be ticking inside those beautiful beachfront buildings. So I'm going to set the stage with some context. Florida has long been America's retirement paradise. White sandy beaches, year-round sunshine, no state income tax. It's no wonder that for decades, condos have been the go-to choice for retirees and snowbirds looking for affordable luxury on or near the water. During the pandemic, Florida's real estate market absolutely exploded. We all know this. Remote workers flocked south for better weather and lower taxes. Retirees accelerated their moving plans, and the result was skyrocketing prices and a building boom that seemed unstoppable. Tampa, Florida, all of us, we were on top of the world. But beneath this prosperity, serious problems were brewing. The tragic collapse in Surfside, which was a condo that collapsed in June 2021 and killed 99 people, exposed a dangerous reality. Many of Florida's aging condominiums had been neglecting critical maintenance and structural inspections for years. Those deaths sent shockwaves throughout the entire state and prompted lawmakers to take action. Action that would eventually trigger the crisis we're seeing today. So what's causing this perfect storm in the Florida condo market? In addition to the general downturn of the real estate market post-COVID, it comes down to three main factors: skyrocketing insurance costs, special assessments that can hit six figures, and new regulations that have lenders running scared. Let's start with insurance. It's a critical piece of this puzzle. Florida's property insurance market was already in trouble before all this started. The state is hurricane prone, and climate change has only increased those risks. Last October, we had one of the worst hurricane seasons we've ever had from a property perspective, at least here in Tampa Bay. After several major storms hit the state in recent years, many national insurance companies pulled out of Florida entirely. This left condo associations scrambling to find coverage from smaller, often less financially stable insurance companies at much higher rates. We're talking increases of 40, 60, or even 100% year over year. And those costs just get passed directly to the unit owners through the HOA fees. But that's just the beginning. Let's talk about special assessments. These are the financial grenades that can blow up a condo owner's budget overnight. So what exactly is a special assessment? It's a one-time charge to condo owners that cover major repairs or improvements that the HOA's reserve funds can't handle. In the past, many Florida condo associations kept their monthly fees artificially low by minimizing these reserve funds. It made their properties more attractive to potential buyers. This practice was perfectly legal at the time because Florida law allowed condo associations to vote to waive or reduce their reserve funding requirements, which is fiscally irresponsible but incredibly common. As a matter of fact, most condos I know had little to no reserve funding because generally condos are owned by elderly people and they just don't want to pay money that they don't have to, especially if they feel like it's not going to directly benefit them or benefit them in their lifetime. Because this was the norm, buyers didn't really flinch when they saw little to no reserves when they were buying a condo. But then came Senate Bill 4D in 2022, followed by Senate Bill 154 in 2023. These were Florida's legislative responses to the Surfside tragedy. These laws required two things. First, mandatory structural inspections for buildings 3 stories or taller once they reached 30 years old, or if it was a coastal property, 25 years old, and then every 10 years after that. Second, and this is the big one, associations can no longer waive or reduce reserve funds for structural components. They have to maintain reserves for roof replacements, painting, waterproofing, plumbing, electrical, and any other items with a replacement cost of over $10,000. $10,000. Think about that for a second. Practically every structural component of a condo building is going to be at least $10,000 in today's day and age in 2025. So while these changes sounded reasonable on paper, the problem is the timing and the financial shock. Many buildings that had $0 in reserves suddenly needed to collect millions of dollars. And fast. Imagine living in a 40-year-old beachfront building with 100 units. The mandatory inspection reveals you need a new roof for $2 million, concrete restoration for $3 million, plumbing upgrades for $1 million. That's $6 million in total, or $60,000 per unit, due immediately. For many retirees on fixed incomes, this is financially impossible. It might seem far-fetched, but it's not. I know personally condo owners who had to pay $100,000, and I even heard of a $200,000 one-time special assessment. That doesn't mean that you can, pay it over time. That means they may give you 2 or 3 months to make that payment, and you have to make that payment. So imagine an elderly individual who bought a condo 20 years ago for $150,000. Now they're on a fixed income. What are they supposed to do when they get hit with a $100,000 special assessment? They simply don't have the money. They can't take on debt that they're unable to repay. So they have to sell their unit. And then where do they move to? It's a very tough situation. Making matters worse, there's a devastating domino effect happening in condo communities across Florida. It starts with just one desperate owner who needs to sell quickly. They list their unit at a competitive price, hoping for a fast sale. Then another owner, seeing this lower price point, panics and lists their unit even lower. Soon, a third lists even lower than that. This creates a downward price spiral that's nearly impossible to stop. I've watched entire communities experience 15 to 20% price drops in just a few months because of this domino effect. In one Miami Beach building, an owner listed their 2-bedroom unit at $450,000 in January. By March, similar units were selling for $375,000. That's a $75,000 loss in just 60 days. The psychology makes it worse. Each new listing and price drop creates more anxiety among the remaining owners, who then rush to list their units before prices fall even further. Real estate agents call it getting ahead of the falling knife. It's a vicious cycle that feeds on itself, and once it starts, it's incredibly difficult to reverse. The more units that flood the market simultaneously, the more power shifts to the buyers, who can simply wait for desperate sellers to drop their prices even lower. What makes this phenomenon particularly devastating for condos compared to single-family homes is their similarity. Unlike houses, which vary widely in size, layout, and features, condos in the same building are essentially comparable products. They share the same amenities, the same structural issues, and often very similar floor plans and views. When buyers can compare directly nearly identical units with different price tags, they'll typically choose the cheaper option. This forces all sellers to compete primarily on price, creating a much more dramatic race to the bottom than you'd ever see in a single-family home market. Most Florida condos have been declining in value month after month since July 2024. Let's look at the numbers. According to Florida Realtors, the condo prices in the state overall have fallen between 1% and 6% each month since last summer. The real horror story is happening in older buildings. In South Florida, condos in buildings over 30 years have dropped in value by a staggering 22% in just 2 years. Florida's home to about 20% of all condos in the entire United States, and more than half of them are at least 30 years old. Think about what that means for a moment. If you're trying to buy or sell a condo in an older building, you're facing a triple whammy. First, the building might need massive repairs that'll be funded through special assessments, potentially tens of thousands of dollars per unit. Second, insurance companies are jacking up rates or refusing coverage altogether for these high-risk properties. And third, and this is where it gets really tricky, lenders are becoming extremely cautious about financing condos in Florida, especially in buildings that need structural repairs. In fact, Fannie Mae has created a blacklist of over 1,400 Florida condominiums that they believe don't have adequate insurance or needed critical repairs. I actually made an entire video about this, so you should check it out if you're interested. But the gist of it is, if a building's on the list, you won't be able to get a mortgage, and the problem is you have no idea the building's on the list until you get close to closing, and then they just tell you they can't close for some reason and you don't know why. But in that other video, I shared a link with how to find that list. You can end up on this list for simple paperwork errors, and your sales will start falling through, and it'll affect the whole building, and that's kind of the issue. So the current owners are stuck paying for the expensive renovations while watching their property values drop, and this vicious cycle further suppresses the value of these condos. This brings us to an important point about the psychological impact of the crisis. Most condo owners are seniors who thought they had their retirement all figured out. They budgeted carefully based on fixed costs. Now they're facing impossible choices: drain their savings to pay the special assessments, take out loans they can't afford, or sell at a loss in a flooded market. Let's talk more about the financing challenges, because this is crucial to understand. In normal times, if you want to buy a condo, you apply for a mortgage, the bank approves it based on your creditworthiness, and you're good to go. Not anymore, at least not in Florida. Now, lenders are scrutinizing the condo association's finances, insurance, and maintenance plans. If anything raises red flags like pending special assessments, inadequate reserves, or ongoing litigation, they'll likely reject the loan application. They won't want to finance anything until all repairs are done. But here's the catch-22. Many buildings can't complete the repairs because current owners can't afford the special assessments, and new buyers can't get financing until repairs are done. So you see how it's a catch-22. This is especially problematic for buildings with a high percentage of investor-owned units or short-term rentals. Traditional mortgage lenders typically want at least 50% of the units to be owner-occupied. Buildings that don't meet this threshold face even tighter financing restrictions. So what should you do if you own a Florida condo or are thinking about buying one? Let me give you 7 crucial steps that could save you from financial disaster. First, if you're considering buying, you need to see the condo association's financial statements, insurance policies, and reserve study. Don't just glance at them, really dive in. Look specifically at how much money they have set aside for major repairs versus what's recommended in their reserve study. If they don't have at least 50% of the recommended reserves, proceed with extreme caution. Also, request at least 2 years of board meeting minutes. These often contain early warnings about upcoming special assessments or maintenance issues. Second, check if the building is on Fannie Mae's blacklist. I shared how to do this in my other video, so I'll link that here as well. But being on this list can make it nearly impossible to sell in the future. But don't stop there. Also check with other major lenders about their specific requirements for condo financing. Some have even stricter guidelines than Fannie Mae. Third, if you're buying a condo in a building that's approaching the 25 or 30 year mark, consider getting your own independent inspection of the common elements. It might be a little bit more money, but it could save you from an unpleasant $50,000 surprise down the road. Fourth, if you already own a condo, attend every board meeting. Get involved. Consider running for the board yourself. Knowledge is power, and the earlier you know about potential special assessments or insurance issues, the better you can plan. I've seen cases where involved owners were able to help their associations find more cost-effective solutions for major repairs, saving everyone thousands of dollars. Fifth, understand your legal options if you're hit with a massive special assessment. In some cases, you might be able to challenge assessments that weren't properly approved or that violate the HOA's governing documents. However, these challenges often require legal representation, and that can be costly. Sixth, if you're in an older building, consider selling now before the situation potentially worsens. The Florida legislature is working on solutions, but there's no guarantee they'll fix the underlying issues. Sometimes cutting your losses early is the wisest financial decision. One of my clients sold her Miami Beach condo at a 10% loss last year, but the building has since been hit with a $75,000 per unit special assessment, so her loss actually saved her a fortune. And finally, I can't stress this enough, consult with a real estate attorney before making any major decisions. The right legal advice can save you from financial disaster. Florida condo law is incredibly complex, and the stakes are too high to navigate the crisis without expert guidance. The Florida condo crisis isn't going away anytime soon. Even Governor Ron DeSantis has acknowledged the problem. The legislature is working on solutions, including extending deadlines and ensuring buildings aren't facing unnecessary costs. A state Senate bill will provide some relief by clarifying that only structural components related to safety need immediate reserve funding. There's also discussion about creating state-backed loan programs to help HOAs fund necessary repairs without crushing individual owners. Some lawmakers have proposed tax incentives for condo owners who contribute to their building's reserves. But these solutions will take time to implement, and they might not go far enough to address the fundamental problems. Until comprehensive reforms are passed, condo owners will continue facing rising costs and declining values, especially in older buildings. Remember, a condo purchase isn't just about the beautiful view or the amenities. It's a complex legal and financial commitment that can affect your wealth for decades to come. The tragic reality is that the Surfside collapse exposed legitimate safety concerns that needed to be addressed. No one wants to live in an unsafe building, but the financial burden of decades of deferred maintenance is now falling on current owners, many of whom had no idea they were getting into when they purchased their units. If you're currently facing this situation, know that you're not alone. Consider joining forces with other owners in your building to advocate for reasonable solutions. Collective actions often yield better results than individual efforts. For those of you considering a Florida condo purchase, don't let this crisis scare you off completely. There are great opportunities out there, especially in newer buildings with transparent management and healthy reserves. Just make sure you do your homework and understand exactly what you're buying. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button and subscribe to see more real estate legal tips that could save you thousands of dollars. Drop your questions or comments below and I'll do my best to answer them in future videos. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video.